I'm going to unmute Maureen if she can hear me. So it looks like, oh, here comes Heather Hannon, so that's good. So in terms of who is here and who has identified themselves, Betsy Kreger is asking me to resend something, so I can do that. Let me just get a minute, Heather, if you wanted to talk, and I'm going to send her the Zoom info.
Okay. Do you want me to kick it off while you do that?
That would be great. Here, I can put the screen up, and I can do something about that. Okay, there you go.
All right. So I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:30. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020. On this call are members of the Planning Board, Heather Hannon, Deb Jarius, Maureen Meister, and myself, Heather Von Mering, the chair. We believe that Betsy Kreger will also be joining us shortly. And also on the call and who's controlling the screen, who's sharing their screen, is the town planner, Brian Zaccali. Alongside that, today we have a pretty quick meeting. We are going to do updates, some updates that we have right off the bat. 7:35, we're going to review some meeting minutes. We have an A&R at 8 o'clock that we're going to review. 8:20, we need to discuss the town meeting articles, and if there's any new business that we need to deal with, we will deal with it thereafter, and hopefully adjourn after that item. So to begin with open with updates, Lisa Wong.
It's Maureen.
Yes, Maureen.
All right, Heather, can you just, I did raise my hand. It's always nice for us to know who's joining us in the meeting. And I know some of the names, but I don't know who everybody is.
Sure. So you do, I didn't do it this time only because everyone is listed, is their name, except for Deb Jarius's other computer is Deb Jarius backwards. So it looks like Surej Biad.
Oh.
But everyone else has been, is named correctly. And obviously WinCam is there in the red as well. So we have myself, Deb Jarius, Heather Von Mering, Maureen Meister, Hank Lynn, Heather Hannon, Sally Dale, and WinCam.
So the updates that came in, the updates we have right now currently is that the warrant has closed for town meeting. We are waiting on remote legislation to come in. Town buildings are not planning to reopen on May 4th. As they last stated, they are actually going to be pushed out, and a phased reopening will be planned based on what is appropriate and safe. Also, the governor is going to provide further guidance, extending the May 4th stay-at-home or non-essential business advisory. In our town, we have had two, unfortunately, that have passed due to COVID-19, and currently we have 33 active cases with 36 recovered. That is the update that we got from Lisa Wong today. And Brian will give more updates on town meeting when we get to that portion of our meeting. But we have other updates regarding our recording secretary and other things. Brian, go ahead.
Sure. So town meeting. So as Heather said, the select board has to make some votes in order to allow remote participation for town meeting. It's stipulations that are in the charter. So there has to be a couple of changes for that. It seems likely that they are going to do that, meaning that they are going to push for a remote town meeting potentially. Based upon that, both the town manager and the assistant town manager has told all boards and committees and departments that only articles that would be considered essential. We still don't know what that means, and we're going to try to get some clarification on that. Lisa had said that there should be some guidance towards the end of the week on what is an essential article or not. the hints, I guess, that I was getting from management was that it didn't really seem like any of our articles were essential. However, they, like I said, they can't really force us to kind of take those articles off. But I think the idea is that we should take a serious look and see whether or not we should be putting forth any articles this spring. That was the exercise for tonight. The other update deals with the recording secretary. The position is closed, so that's great. Maureen, I know you had said that you were interested in looking at candidates or at least going through that process with me. So I can start that tomorrow if you're interested, and I can send you all of the information that I've gotten for resumes and cover letters, and we could set up a meeting if you're still on board with that, Maureen.
I am, and also I'm wondering how this might be, I'm saying might, coordinated with the posting for the Historical Commission recording secretary. We end up getting the same pool, or if we want to throw some other people into that pool. I just don't know logistically how it works, but it seems like there's some way they ought to be coordinated.
Yeah, so I have not cross-referenced to see if there are any people that have applied to both, because the Historical Commission they just put theirs out. So I know they've received actually, I think 4 or 5 already, and I believe we have 7. So yeah, that makes sense to at least, my guess is the same people would be applying to both. It's the same money, it's the same job. You can do it from anywhere. It seems like right now it's a good job to make a little extra money. So yes, definitely coordination with Jack and HR.
Right, and understood that it would be the Historical Commission's pot of money, so it's their allocation, so it's
Correct.
their hire. But I think if we hire people who might be interested in covering for the other from time to time, that would be in everybody's interest.
Yeah, obviously it'd be nice if there was just a bank of people, right? If there was, a few people that would be available whenever, right? But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. The idea of having 2 people, but maybe they could flip flop from time to time depending upon schedules or something like that. Is that what you envisioned?
Right, and
yeah.
I guess so. I'd have to see the contract, how that would be set up. And then that also raises a question, and we don't have to go into details, but it sounds like the last contract it had some problems, and I think they should be avoidable. If somebody's we should be able to move forward pretty quickly when somebody's out of, can't even be reached.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I've told HR that I don't, this is an issue, and this is not going to happen again.
Go ahead, Heather.
I have a question about the essential articles. Is the background for that just so that town meeting is shorter and more manageable? Or
exactly. It just has. It simply has to do with. They use the word streamline. They want to streamline town meeting because chances are this is going to have to be done remotely, and the idea and chaos that could potentially ensue about difficult or difficult.
Controversial.
I mean, yeah. They basically was like, look, everything's going to crash and it's too easy to crash and burn. Is basically that's not what they said, but that's what I'm saying. That even they just want to streamline the process. They want to do it in one night. They want to actually try to do batches of articles, rather than having to vote on each individual article, they would batch similar ones together. And they're really trying to streamline it. And it's basically the money, right? When they say essential, they're not saying it specifically, but it's like, we just need to keep the lights on. That's, and they're not like, again, they're not being that stringent. This is just what I'm picking up from them.
Okay.
Brian, could you include me in on the recording secretary?
Of course.
Thing?
Yeah, so I'll send a package to both of all of the candidates, and I'll probably I'll in the email I'll have some instructions about ranking, and then the 3 of us would meet and we'd go from.
I think I'll also have to reach out to Jack, because to roll the Historical Commission in with in any way really needs to be discussed with the historical commission before we can go that way, or even discuss it with the candidate, given that our posting didn't have anything noted about the potential for that. And that, let me just talk to Jack before we do it.
It's Jack and Michelle is who need to manage that. Because like Maureen said, it would be a different type of contract. So.
Are you talking about Jack you're talking about Michelle from HR, not from the historical commission, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Michelle's not right. She's not on WH anymore, is she? I think she is. Anyway. Okay. So those are the big aids that have dealing with town meeting and dealing with the recording secretary. I sent my weekly updates out on Friday. I don't know if anyone had any questions. We can go from there. Otherwise, I think we can start talking about the minutes.
So it's Maureen. I had a couple other things. One was there was a meeting that you had a few weeks ago with this fellow, what's his name, Marino, about the Main Street project. And
months ago, but yes.
So that's the sort of thing, I don't remember reading about it in the update.
Yeah, I'm trying. So it was about, a season. It was like three or so months ago. He came in and said he was interested in demolishing this building. And I was telling him the whole story behind the process, and that, about the historical commission, and that, we're going to try to get you to see what you can do with the building, and, trying my best to at least, give him the options that he has. And then that was the whole thing. It was a 10-minute meeting, but you're right. I didn't put it in the weekly updates. And I guess on any type of demo meeting, you're basically saying, yes, I should note that as something important, and I should.
Right. So to me, it shocked me, frankly, in that if we had known several months ago, I'm not sure what we might have done, but maybe something. And then also, when you give your updates, I understand it's a report, so it's straightforward, but I only realized after I heard the name, then I was describing this, I don't mind saying this, to my husband, and then he noticed the name on that building on North Main Street, because I guess, is that the fellow who...
The brother. It's a brother, but yes, it's the same family, different developer.
So I think for context for us, so when you give an update, it's first of all, any demolition, and especially of a building that is North Main Street, which is so important to us. And then the work that we did and the zoning we got changed specifically, it came about because of the threat on Canal Street in particular. And so that concern, and then there it is on Canal. So A, to learn about it, but B, also to know who was in the meeting. And so it could have been just his name, but in your report, it would be helpful to know that he's the developer of that other project. So I wouldn't have put the two and two together, but that gives me a lot more information, as I'm very concerned, as we all have been, about what's the nature of development along North Main Street. So you following?
I agree. I wouldn't have said, I mean, it's not the same developer, but I see what you're saying. But I mean, I just want to make it, just so there's no confusion, it's not the developer of the new building on North Main Street.
So it's like a family it's
a different brother. It's a different brother. I don't know if they work on projects together, but they're certainly separate. And Anthony was not involved with that one.
For the minutes, Brian, could you please tell me I know there's 910 Main Street is involved with one brother. What's the other building on Main Street?
Okay, the new building on Main Street. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'll get that for you.
Can you just tell me where it is on Main Street?
It's pretty. If you go up Skilling, if you're come from Skilling's and you make a right on Main, it's on the left-hand side before you I mean, it's the only new building that has been causing a lot of issues in terms of people saying the scale of it is.
Oh, this is the
it's
one.
It's about 3 blocks away from you.
Okay, is that one then? Okay, so it's the one with the elevator thing sticking out of the top.
Yeah, it's that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so a Marino, but not Anthony Marino.
Okay,
So Anthony Marino's name is on the building now.
Ooh. That.
The building where the, what do you call it, the hair salon used to be. That, I can't remember
Scruples. Yep.
Scruples, right.
846. So yeah,
Right.
Hank Lynn, thanks.
So
Hank.
that building now has his name on it.
well, maybe he's dealing with the getting the people to rent it.
That's
Right.
yeah. So
So
yeah, more
point is-
than we thought. Then okay.
So it's just that we need to be able to put the stupid expression, but connect the dots here. And our concern about North Main Street, certainly that Scruples building has been a concern. It really was an impetus for the rezoning. So it's all consistent with what the planning board's interests are. And this is very concerning to hear about it. So, and if it's been percolating for several months, that's even, it just adds another layer of our understanding that maybe, I don't know, maybe we would have been taking other initiatives in the past few weeks or months.
I thought, though, Dia had reported to the planning board that the discussions that was there's a potential that was coming up.
I don't
I
remember.
I thought it was pretty clear that this was a high risk and there's a good chance this was coming through.
Well, but I didn't know Marino had met with Brian about the demolition. So no, that's new to me. So anyway, a different question that's kind of related, because once I heard about this property and I knew that there had been some new that we had passed new site plan review, and that was in 2019. So that's when I went looking, and my zoning bylaw that's in print is from 2018. And then I look on the website and it's all bollocksed up. So I don't have access to a complete zoning bylaw, either in print or online.
Right. That's another issue that I have not been able to. I was supposed to talk with Mary Ellen this morning. We haven't been able to connect, but that's high on the list.
Would it be correct to say that right now, the only complete zoning bylaw is in the town planner's office?
I wouldn't even say that.
Oh. Oh.
So what happened? So yeah. So
this is so important. It just boggles my mind. But what does that mean?
It means that the current zoning bylaw. So I since I've come here, I've always updated the zoning bylaw every town meeting that we've made a change. I update it and then I send it to Mary Ellen, and everyone's like, well, one person doing this doesn't make a ton of sense. I was like, fine, but we still need to have an updated zoning bylaw so that people can put additions on their house and build buildings and comply with zoning. So then as we were going over to the online version, what happened was what we had done was give them everything from 18, and then Mary Ellen and I put all of the zoning amendments and said that's what they wanted. They want, like, well, give us the base of 18, and then we'll add all of the zoning changes since then. So there was a time that it was correct, and now, as Maureen said, you go to 9.5.1, it's referencing something that didn't happen at some Springtown meeting, and then it's missing a third of these other provisions. It's kind of a huge mess. So the idea is that I need to talk to Mary Ellen and say, here's 951, here's the special permits, and then I also need to go through the entirety of the rest of the zoning bylaw to find out, because now obviously I don't believe what's on there.
I don't either, Brian, because I looked at because we were talking about adding the Disability Commission, and that's inaccurate in the current one that's online.
So
it doesn't include design review and historical, and we added those in a long time ago.
Exactly. So that makes no sense that I wouldn't have even given them something pre-2018. So it makes no sense. So at the very least, I'm going to get the site plan review and special permit criteria corrected right now. And then I'm going to start having to go the zoning changes to make sure since 2018 and see what has or hasn't been incorporated.
So
And then
Brian,
as a follow-up, do you have a print copy that you would say is current to today? A print copy of what's current?
No.
So do you have a digital copy that's current?
No, I have a digital copy and then I have like, the few list of amendments since then.
Since when?
So I have
believe
a copy.
it's spring of, I think it's spring of 19 is the most, and then I have like the amendments that we've done since then as a separate file.
Yeah, that's the one I currently have. I have spring of 2019. I do not have the fall of 19.
Right.
update,
So that's what I had given. So I had given them that, and then the amendment, any amendments that have happened since then, and is not what is supposed to be up there.
So, and what's the zoning board working with?
They are I think Janine had like a marked up copy that she's been, but I honestly don't know. I know that the chair of the ZBA was pretty angry about this several months ago when there wasn't even a dated one up there. But this was before you could even search through the online version. It was like in between, so they were having issues. Like I said, rightfully so. I mean, it's not okay.
I don't understand where the problem is, though. Like, if you have is it that it's not getting uploaded to the website correctly?
Well, so it's not like it's just so I would have loved just a PDF, a searchable PDF that everyone understands. It's very easy. People do that, use them all the time. This is code publishing or something. So it's using an online interface for the code of bylaws and for the zoning bylaw, and it's split up with a section. You can't even say print and like print the entire document. I don't like it.
Is there a interim thing where you can mark up your digital copy so that it's up to date, and we can at least make that available to, say, the ZBA or on the planning board's website? So there's
I can get that version tomorrow.
Yeah, because having to work.
I think they didn't. The clerk didn't want to have PDF versions in general, and then also the other version, and so that's why I really wanted to talk to her, and I tried several, but couldn't get through to her today.
I can understand, because you only want to have one copy, or else if you have two, you don't know which one.
Right. So the idea is taking everything off and then only putting one version of a copy up, which again, I can do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that since we don't know how long it'll take for this company to rectify this problem, my advice would be to take that copy off, since we know it's wrong, and let's just put up a simple PDF that you have brought up to date.
Yeah,
and
I will. What I'll do is I'll take those amendments that was a separate document, and I will incorporate them into the PDF like I've always done, except for the past two town meetings.
And then, Brian, because I know when I do could you please put the date right on the cover? When I do a search, I still do get a PDF online. If you just do Winchester zoning bylaw or Winchester Mass, you have to put that in, but that PDF from 2018 comes up, and then you go on the town website and you get the thing that we're having problems with. But it's just a mess.
It's a mess.
Normal.
Maureen, it's a mess. I'm not going to even try to say it's anything other.
Brian, are you saying though that it's really coming out of the clerk's office? Or are you saying, or do we have
the website? The website is out of the clerk's office,
so we don't have control over that.
No, but we can say, look, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Take it out, take it down. We can do that, and then we can just have the PDF. Like it's not going to take crazy amount of time. It'll take a couple hours, and we'll get that online and just have one PDF, and we'll erase all other things. we'll erase everything else that's up
And
there.
just a reminder, there's that 2000, I don't know where that 2018 one comes from, but it does come up multiple times. I've seen it come up.
It could be on a random page that there's actually no, like, there's no link to it, but there's a landing page. So yeah,
See if you can figure that out.
It's a problem. Okay. Okay. I think we're okay then. I know what I need to do with that.
Send it to us.
Of course.
Once you get yours that's totally clean, and then and it's dated, and then also sending it to, I think Janine, I don't know what they're using over at the ZBA, but as we say, we all want to be working off the same document.
Yeah, no, I will distribute that widely.
Okay, so Brian, when will you be able to do that? You can make that a priority tomorrow?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I should be able. I have a 10 and 11 and a 1 and a 2, but I think I should be able to do it throughout the day.
Latest, maybe Wednesday then, at the absolute latest.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I can guarantee by close of business Wednesday.
And can you shoot the chair of the ZBA to just let him know that what is online is incorrect?
Yeah, he knows. I think he knows that, but I will.
I'm pretty sure he does too, but just make sure it's
okay. All right, I got that.
And also Janine should be on that as well. So when people are pulling permits, that they refer to your PDF copy that you're going to send her.
Yep.
So I'm sorry. All of this comes through because I was thinking, well, what does this guy Marino, what's he looking at what's his view of what he's got to do to tear down a building and put up a new building? And of course, I knew there would be site plan review as a very minimum. And of course, we don't want to see, or I will say, I don't think we want it demolished. But anyway, so with all that in mind, and because, I was not aware of the meeting you had, we have asked, and I just want to go back to the idea of this really, really simple, nothing elaborate, no content, nothing, but just the major, not the 2-minute things, but any meaningful meeting that you have, just list who they are and just for the day so we can see those, because we had talked about doing that before, and you have done it in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I will do even the 2-minute ones. Obviously, the 2-minute ones don't really happen too much anymore. But that meeting, he obviously bought it. At the time, there was no purchase and sale. It was a quick. He just wanted to know what he needed to do with the historical commission. Obviously, if I put that, Anthony Marino of whatever Marino Construction is looking at 9 Main Street, yes, that probably could have activated the neighborhood. We could have done something, and that's your point, and I get that.
Right. Thank you.
Brian, whenever you get demo questions coming to you, just make sure you let I know you'll let us know, but can you also make sure you let the historical commission know?
Yeah, no, I believe.
I know that they've been on. It's been on. I mean, it was on their radar when I sat on the historical commission, so yeah. It's not a shocker to them. But I just, in case they were aware of your meeting,
sure.
Anytime, just let them know, including just make sure you send them a note saying this person came in asking about this thing about whatever. Just let them know. Keep them in the loop. Let's move on, please, to the approval of meeting minutes. If you have new items, you can take them up at the end of the meeting.
Sure. I have, the only thing for the March 24th meeting minutes, it was to put in what the changes were. That was the only change that was requested from the last time. And you can see here that it's there. So we have the motion, and the motion saying that as amended, and then the 2 amendments that are down below are A11 and D2.1. So I put those in. So the March 24th minutes should be book ready unless anyone had any other final edits.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
You're good.
Mine didn't get picked up, which is my last.
Your name. Oh, your name.
Heather.
Your name. Oh no, the worst.
Although my initials aren't all capitalized. When you go HVM, it's all capitalized.
Right. I don't know.
It's
okay.
a
oh, Heather.
Okay. I will.
There it is, right there.
Okay.
Unless
all
it's the beginning of a sentence.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I kind of wanted, I didn't do much at all with Diab's minutes. And the reason why is because I wanted to make sure that everyone was going to be okay with how I'm doing these minutes. And now I kind of have an idea of what type of detail people want. I didn't want to go through a whole thing and then be like, well, this is not really what. So this is probably the level of detail that I'm going to be doing. Maybe a paragraph at most for each agenda item. And obviously doing the motions, but that's the what we've been instructed to by Mary Ellen, is saying that you have to have a summary of each agenda item, as well as any agenda items that were not known at the time of the posting, the members present, members voting, all of the motions and votes. So
Looks good to me.
So this is all, that one is done. And then now here, starting here, this is Diab's. I think what makes the most sense for me is to clean this up a little bit more, but Diab has a lot in here.
It was long. I appreciated Diab, but it was long.
Okay,
But
so
I think for taking the minutes, it would be like this.
Yes,
But-
yes.
And for Diab, if given that he's doing it, I think hallelujah, thank you so much. Just generally though, I think somebody might want to tighten them up.
Yeah, no, that I'm definitely going to do that, and that's not going to be Diab's job.
Thank
So-
you.
Yep. Yeah, no. This is invaluable for me. It is obviously hard to do the meeting and take, so it's hard for Diab. I can't imagine it's easy for him either. So I really appreciate what he's doing. But so that's what I'm going to do. He's going to take these very detailed notes. I'm going to turn it into something very similar to this. So agenda item is going to be like this: 3-4 sentences.
Exactly. The main thing, Brian,
Yes.
is that if there's any real conclusion, not just, I know sometimes it's easy to say topics, but it's really what any conclusion or new direction that comes out of the discussion that's really what we want in the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A good example of that is in the meeting minutes when we talk about Abbey Road, for example, that the conclusion is in there. We talked a lot about it but the conclusion is really clearly done. And that's the most important thing in the meeting minutes is this was discussed and this was the conclusion and this is the motion.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, so then at our next meeting, I'm going to have a new version of this. What is this? The 4.7. This is the 4.7 with 36 Dunster. Also, Heather, I had sent over to you a decision last week. Whenever you have a minute, so we can file that decision.
Okay, I'll put that on my to-do list.
Yeah, put that on the to-do. Okay.
Did anyone want to make a motion? I'd love to entertain one.
For the 24th one?
Are these Diabs?
No, we're not voting in Diabs yet. I have to
the
clean
others?
those
I
up.
thought we actually voted.
Changes.
Yeah, I guess the motion was already as amended, and then I just put those amendments in there, so I guess they actually already have been voted. So
all right, so let's move on to our next agenda item.
Let's move on to our next agenda. So
we have an A&R for 5 Cambridge Street.
Yeah, let me see. So this was actually the result of we actually did an A&R for this property. I don't know if I have the plan. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Keep going. It's in here.
Yeah, it's in here. So this this was actually an A&R that we had done about 2 years ago, and all they're doing, and it was creating a new lot. So this is the existing house here. And this lot was created here. This whole lot that goes all the way to the water. It was created about 2.5 years ago. They are now selling this lot, and in order to sell the lot, they worked out with the property owner, the soon-to-be property owner, to change the lot line a little bit. So there are no new lots that are being created. All of this has also gone through engineering. They had a couple of minor issues that they have now corrected, having to do with some offsets that were wrong. But otherwise, no new lots are being created. It's simply the movement of a lot line to accommodate this new owner.
Brian, can you point out where that line is? Because I couldn't figure it out.
Sure. So let me get there. Oop. Okay, so sorry. So this tie line, no, that is not it. Where's the note? Lots A and B are division of land. I thought this was right here. So this is right on the border of Winchester and Arlington. I feel like I'm kind of lost here. So it was. I know that the line was in order to create a more water frontage. So I think that it's possible that this line was changed. You see, it says edge of water 320 2020.
But the lot change is on the Arlington side, right?
Correct. So the house is on the Winchester side. It's right here.
Okay.
And then the house is on both, you can see. And the new lot that's being created, there's this much that's created in Winchester. See, it says the Winchester area.
Okay. If it's not on the Winchester side, then...
It's not on the Winchester side, but they're doing it in both at the same time so that they're filed in both places because because the house is actually in Winchester. Most of the house will actually be in Winchester.
Okay.
Do you have a motion?
Or how do we deal with, I mean, I
will show. Yeah, no, I will. Sorry, I didn't finish. We do this, right? Because we're not signing, because we're not doing that. So this is the way that this is handled now under COVID, is that there's a vote to endorse or not, right? And then if it is a vote to endorse, you would then authorize the clerk to attest to the vote. And then the Mylar will get stamped by the clerk's office. So it's two votes. One would be to endorse it, and the other would be to have the clerk attest to the vote.
So I'm going to make a motion to endorse the A&R for 5 Cambridge Street.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Any conversation, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say your name and your vote.
Heather,
Green,
aye.
aye.
Heather Von Mering, aye.
Diabjurius, aye.
It's 4-0. And with Krager absent.
Yeah. So just to talk about that super quick, I did talk with her twice today in terms of instructions and Zoom, and I actually just sent her the meeting ID again. But it does not appear to be working. I'm trying to manage that as best I can, but to be honest, other than going over there, I don't know what else I can do. I've got her to download the Zoom. I've talked with her several times, and I think we just got to deal with that offline.
Okay. Did we want to do a second motion?
Yes, to authorize the town clerk. Brian, help me out.
To attest to the vote that just took place.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I will second.
All those in favor, name and vote, please.
Heather, aye.
Maureen, aye.
Diab, aye.
Heather Von Mering, aye. Okay.
So town meeting articles. This is our last order of business at the moment. So you guys heard kind of the beginning on where the management's coming from at the moment. They're basically saying we're not telling anyone to take articles off, but please take the time to consider if you need to do this now. So that's the mantra that they're saying, because they can't force anybody to take articles off. I have no idea what's going to happen with the citizens petition, meaning that it's the same rules for them. They don't have to withdraw their article if they don't want to. And I don't think that the management can tell them to withdraw the article.
I don't think they can either.
So, my take is that our first article, which really could be almost considered a Scrivener's error, legal counsel and Mary Ellen are looking into making that done through a Scrivener's error. So that's Article 1. I'm just going to go down. So that's Article 1. So this one, it's obviously a mistake. So looks like Article 1 might be able to just happen with the stroke of a pen and not needed for town. So that's number 1. Number 2 is was not ours. This was the Rangeley Park Heritage District. They're discussing on whether or not they will be doing their article or not. But I think, like I said, management has basically told them the same thing. I'm going to skip Article 3 for the moment. Article 4, Disability Access Commission, even though we don't have them specifically listed right now, we can actually give any board or committee copies of at least ours. We could also send them for even ZBA petitions. We could just physically, email them and say, hey, here's the application, and they're allowed to review it, and the ZBA has to receive it. They don't have to listen to it, just like us. The point is that we can actually do Article 4 right now, kind of.
And Brian, I have to add, years ago, long before you were hired, we on the planning board, because we were called out to make a recommendation to the ZBA, we routinely went to the design review committee and did just what you're saying.
Right, because there's nothing wrong with it. It gives the authority. The authority is given to those commissions. So
this just puts it in writing. I think at this point, we can go. Why don't we go through all the articles we have and then discuss about how we want to proceed as a board?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. So Article 4 is actually all of the Disability Access Commission articles. So it's all under one article, and it's under 3 different motions. One's for special permits, one's for site plan review, and one is for everything in the center business district. So that's all one. Again, I think that we can manage this for another 6 months, and they can start reviewing projects immediately. So I don't think there's anything lost there. In my opinion, I think we should just not do anything with 1 and 2. And really the only conversation in my mind, and obviously I'm open here, but I think Article 3 is really the one where the only thing that we need to talk about tonight on whether or not we should be moving forward with this appropriation. So my take is that I still think it's worth talking about. But I also, this is more of a PR move. I also don't want to ruffle any feathers either. So it's kind of have this open.
We're not going to be able to debate, because I think they're going to. As of right now, this is where I stand. Just to be really clear. As of right now, I don't think we're going to a town meeting that we're used to. We're going to a digital Zoom style where there's going to be barely anything we can debate and have a true public process. And for our types of articles, even the petition for North Main, we have to debate. For zoning, you have to debate. And for appropriation for North Main, there's going to be a lot of questions regarding that. We don't have the ability to do that in a Zoom meeting with town meeting or whatever platform they use similar to Zoom and debate anything. So my thought would be to hold 3 into the fall, see what's going on financially with the town, and then go from there and figure it out. The Disability Access Commission, hold it to the fall. I do think that language needs to be in there regardless whether we can do it now or later. Mm-hmm. But also now we should be sending a letter to Janine to include the chair of the Disability Access Commission and also the staff member who's responsible for all permits that are going to the ZBA and to obviously us that are polled that are for their review. And then 2, it really depends on what the Heritage District chooses to do, whether if that's in their hands, it's not our article to poll.
Mm-hmm.
1 is a Scribner's if we can get the town, if legal, and so my point right now is, let's not pull anything, keep them there till we really get closer. But at this point, my thought is we will pull because we can't debate anything. We can't debate. We can't really answer questions efficiently in this platform. And people are voting just to really move on and get the essentials done versus really having a true public process.
So I have a question, not to make this more complicated, but why can't we have debate at town meeting? Why can't everyone be muted and then the moderator unmutes people who have their hands up and goes in order and we respond by being unmuted?
I mean, I don't think that it's impossible. I think that I think the word that, like I said, they were looking for streamline. I don't think there's any doubt we could do it, but it would basically take a 25-minute article and it would just balloon it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. It's not so much importance or not importance. It's just more of no one's going to be doing a 6-night Zoom town meeting. And, there's a reason that the board kind of pseudo made a decision that we're not going to be taking any new applications either. I mean, there is a reason behind it, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's the reason, Heather. I think that yes, it's possible, but I think it would just be each article would be that much longer to get through.
So I'm predicting, just throw this into the mix. We're going to be remote meeting in the fall as well. I guess you'd say the risk for people, especially over a certain age, is not going to go away in a few months. We won't have a vaccine and we won't all have antibodies. So
that's what I was thinking, is like, if we're just kicking it down to fall and
right.
Fall has to be remote also, we better just figure out better ways to debate these things virtually so we can keep going.
I think so. I think that I definitely see that. I think the issue is that probably by fall there'll probably be a lot more time to get software available or something so that we can actually have a productive virtual town meeting. At the moment right now, we're still trying to figure out, one, should we have town meeting? There's no doubt we have to have town meeting because we need to appropriate money. I mean, that's what the main thing is about. But outside of that, I don't know. I mean, because you would think there would be debate for the budget as well, right? If anything, maybe even more debate now than under a normal circumstance, because everyone's so keyed up about where we should be spending our money.
Well, the other thing is when you have situations like this is where money really becomes, people really put on their detective glasses to make sure no one's taking advantage of certain situations and whatnot. A lot of people will be very cautious of that to make sure everything is really a valid expense. But I personally do not see number 4 as being debated or number 2 as being debated or number 1. I think they're pretty quick.
Yeah.
You just stand up and say, we feel that we need to include the Disability Access Commission into the review because they cover a specific demographic that others are not covering. And we would like to make sure they're included and their feedback is welcome. They know they're welcome. Done. That's all you have to say to town meeting. And then the vote takes place.
The question then is whether
Meadowcroft Road is a given because it's that homeowner wants to be in it. It's just
opt in. Yeah.
Done. That's all you have to say to town meeting. They're like, okay, and then 3 is a different animal. And I just think 3 at this point, we keep it on. When we get closer, we see what's going on with the budget, what really is going on at the state and federal level and how much they're cutting of and everything before we go for Main Street. But we can always come back in the fall. But just hold its place, keep its place for right now. And 1 is
we should have more.
Like, this is a minor error.
we should have more guidance on, I think Lisa said Thursday or Friday of this week, on what is essential. What does that even, what does that mean? I can't imagine that any of this would be considered essential, but that's not really the point. I think Maureen and Hannah make a good point that most likely we're probably going to be in the same boat in the fall, but I think we'll at least it'll be a little bit easier for us to debate these things, because I have a feeling that they're going to figure out some type of software that's going to work. Right now, it's like, what can we do right now? Right now it's like, what can we do right now to get this going? And that's probably not the best. We're just squeezed because of time. So
yeah, I'm going to stop typing here and my 2 bits.
Yep.
So one of the things I'm really concerned about is how we ensure that we know who's voting. And I don't know how you do that securely using Zoom. And I don't know that Town Hall has the requisite knowledge to do that.
Yeah, they're talking about that right now in terms of how to actually, one for one in terms of votes and how that works out. So it's obviously very complicated, and they have no idea how they're going to figure it out.
This is where I think the town needs to reach out to the state government to find out. I think the state government has to give much better guidance on how we can ensure that town meeting votes are secure.
And not silence. That warrant articles that that are important, they might not be critical, but they can keep being moved forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, the government, the state has given select boards, et cetera, the ability to extend budgets 1 month at a time.
Yeah, but I don't think we can financially extend that budget.
In the sense
they
that
have to do the town meeting.
There's a few
My
things.
feedback as a town meeting member today, I wrote in my response to the survey that was sent out is, I'm fine if you do an emergency for the budget, but you should be taking up all these other issues that are going on in town in a secondary meeting. Like, do the emergency meeting, but as soon as things kind of, you find a solution, you find ways that work to make it, let's say, equitable to all of town meeting, and make sure you have the full town meeting available and participating, fairly participating, then we take these up. But don't just cancel them all out and say we're only going to do the budget.
Yeah, but I mean, my reading of some of the COVID legislation was that it did allow executive bodies like select boards to extend budgets 1 month at a time. They couldn't extend it for less than a month, but they could extend it for 1/12 of a year's budget. So I think that gives us my reading is that it gives us breathing room for the budget.
Well, yeah, so we only have to vote in 1/12 of the budget.
No, the select board can do that by themselves.
Without a town meeting.
Without a town meeting.
Holy smokes.
I mean, I that was my reading.
So they are not. So they have not. We could go on for a bit. They have not figured it out yet.
Yeah, and so that my concern is that whenever they're going to schedule a town meeting, we don't have enough time for them to do it in such a way that I personally would trust that the town meeting members are the ones who are voting. And that's my concern. So, but
I want to go in a different direction. I know that for these studies, such as our study that we want to do of North Main Street, that we've gotten the appropriation has been made in different ways and from different sources. So right now this is free cash, but if we're putting this off, is there a better way to do this anyway?
I mean, we've always, in any articles we've done for master plan or any other ones since I've been here, have always been free cash. Are you saying that there's maybe a different mechanism?
I thought maybe, and I'm not saying that it was the best, but I thought it came through capital at one point.
Well, then you would have to go through the capital process. It wouldn't be town meeting.
So that might be easier. I don't know, but I just know that there's probably more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it now. We would, I mean, those capital requests happen towards like fall.
Don't they still have to go through town meeting?
Yes.
They do, but first they have to go through the whole capital process, and if capital thinks it's a good idea, then they put it on.
Right, and my thinking is they tend to go forward. Those really.
Yeah, because they've already been vetted pretty highly or pretty heavily from Capital.
Speaking of capital, with regards to this town meeting article, would it be okay if the planning board, if I started representing the planning board to capital?
You're willing?
Well, we currently do. We currently are
Right.
We're lacking.
regularly attending capital, and we really need to, given what's going on and things going on with the budget and our budget too.
I think that would be great, Heather, if you're up.
I don't want to, but I think it's really important that we have representation there. And I know Diab is very busy with housing, and Heather's doing the Waterfield lot, and so there's a lot going on. So I just think we need to get someone there, and we need to make sure that we are one of the voting members of Capital, and we are not there.
Correct. Well, I think that would be great. And then I'm going to propose that our study for the master plan, or rather for the North Main Street, that maybe we think about whether we ought to be asking for it as a capital expenditure.
I think we should go as a capital. I think it needs
then we're definitely pulling it then.
Yeah, we'll go to capital for the fall, but we just need to make sure they know. So you need to talk to Mark.
Yeah, so
we're coming into capital.
So Mark and Lisa, they, they're trying to figure out what you guys are going to do. And I was like, well, how can we really figure it out if you guys haven't figured out what you guys are talking about, what is essential? The question for tonight is, could we potentially have a vote? Or you're saying, Heather, let me just so I'm clear here. Heather, you're saying we wait till the 12th anyway.
Yeah.
Make a decision on the 12th, but most likely this looks, like this is a sinking ship.
I don't think it is. I mean, 3 is a sinking ship, I think, right now, without knowing more information about what's going on financially on a longer term versus week to week, day to day, almost at some point in some situations going on right now in town. So 3, I think right now is in a holding pattern. The other ones could actually be really easily done if the town meeting is set up appropriately. And
I agree.
Easy. They're not debatable. The one that I'm actually most concerned about is a citizens petition, but that isn't our article either, because that one that's going to be debated.
Right. I mean, because that's a zoning article, and I also see John Stevens on the call. Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Would the board want to see that at town meeting? How's it going? Would board then be considering its own articles probably not be considered essential, rather than taking a full position and going through that whole going through the analysis, which we obviously would do if the citizens petition goes forward. But is there a sense that a zoning article, that's whether it's citizens or otherwise, is not going to wait, should get bumped to fall? Is that
if it was our article, I would say I would recommend bumping it to fall, because I know that from my perspective, it would be a huge debate on the floor of town meeting, and I could not successfully debate that through technology that currently is in place. That's where I stand with it. I don't think that the accurate information could be developed in a way and presented, and the go back and forth that we have on articles that come through like this, even our own. I do not see how.
All right, can we go around the table? And...
Can we finish some of the things we've been going around in circles on?
What do you need conclusion on, Diab?
Yeah. So can we get a conclusion on? We've got. Which ones are we going to pull?
Right.
Are we going to elect? Are we going to nominate Heather Von Mering to be on the capital request? Are we going to move Article 3 to capital? Those are the things that I think we talked about. And
so I picked up that we were not going to be voting on whether we're pulling anything or not, but happy to do those votes. But I picked up from Heather that we're going to wait till the 12th.
Right. But I haven't, let's get the rest of the board to agree to that. And then So does the rest of the board feel like we can just push the decision on anything until the 12th?
The hearing is already all set up and filed, and gone out.
The hearing is on the 19th because we needed to get that in time, and so that's all
That's
ready to
also
go.
anyways.
Yeah, that's all ready to go. No, nothing lost there.
So I agree. I think we should put the decision off until the 19th.
Until the 12th.
I'm sorry. When is the 12th? What is the 12th?
The 12th is a normal meeting, and the 19th is the hearing.
Okay, so put it off on the 12th. I agree. I mean,
Heather and Maureen.
That's fine.
And for myself, I agree. It's absolutely waiting makes sense. The one so a whole bunch of questions about the money for the study for North Main Street. I do wonder, because we have finished with the master plan, and Heather Von Meering makes a really good case. If it goes before town meeting in a remote, that's going to be really a tough one. But I would, between now and then, want to think about what loss of not just momentum, but just if there's going to be development coming our way on North Main Street, just are we pushing off not till, so we won't have any new zoning in the fall, probably, if we're not getting money till the fall. That means we're pushing off an entire year, still fairly exposed to what kind of things could happen on North Main Street. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, right now the only thing we've put in is the site plan review for larger lots, which does take into account most of the larger lots. But as Maureen said, there's no guidelines.
That's how I would like to just keep it in for right now till the 12th. Maureen, also to see what exactly is going on and get the bigger picture.
Yeah. Well, you can see, I see both sides. I appreciate what you said. You're right. On the other hand, the vulnerability is a concept, and it's like, and we'd lose basically a year by pushing this off.
All right, so then we'll get some more feedback from Lisa and Mark in terms of what they said they were going to give us some more information by the end of the week. I'll distribute that information.
What the budget actually even looks like for our department. They may be putting the 30,000 in there so we can do North Main. We have no idea what they're doing with our budget.
The budgets. I mean, they're doing a lot of work. The FinCom and Lisa, they're doing a lot of work right now. So yeah, I think it makes sense. So what I'm picking up from everyone, Diab should too, right? So we're not making any decisions right now on the 12th until the 12th. As far as the citizens petition goes, basically the take at the moment is that if it was ours, probably wouldn't bring it before town meeting because of the complexity of the issue. What else? And then looks like for the $30,000 question, we're taking it off now. Maybe is basically what I that's what I've got from that one.
wait,
No. We're holding everything till the 12th.
we're holding everything until the 12th.
We're holding everything to the 12th. If the planning board does want me to represent capital, we need to do a vote because that changes to the liaison is. And then we should talk about the citizens petition as well in more depth.
Okay, so I'm going to move that we, I don't know, endorse Heather Von Meering as our representative to Capitol.
What is the
We usually just assign or discuss.
Yeah, it's not a vote usually.
Vote. We're normally at the beginning of every, after the town election, we just review
assign people
sitting on which board, representing his planning board at various,
so then
agencies.
say Heather will be like the auxiliary capital member.
Brian, is the transportation group meeting?
They met the same night that we met last, so neither of us could make that one, but yes, they are still meeting.
So the only reason I'm thinking of asking for a vote is that we don't have the current representative of the Capitol isn't with us tonight. And people have signed up voluntarily and we've sort of divvied it up amongst ourselves. And so I don't know. I just thought it'd be appropriate.
Maybe it makes more sense then for just talk to her about it rather than doing the vote without her here.
Yeah,
I don't think it needs a vote. Quite the contrary. Just maybe Heather, if it sounds like you can reach her by phone? Could you just
I
call?
I talked to her twice today.
Oh, well, maybe you can be the one to deliver the message.
Well, it doesn't say when her term's up or anything.
It's not term. There's no term. There's no terms. It's a representative to the board. It's not
They're
like
appointed. Members are appointed. One member is appointed by the planning board among its members.
Oh, because
that's different.
That's
then,
a
I'm
vote.
sorry.
You're a voting member, right?
That's different.
Yeah, they have
okay.
voting
So then
power.
no. So we do need a vote then.
Yeah, but we need to address that. So,
Can
but
you just call her and then we'll vote next time? If
Yeah. I'll,
there is no term expiration though on it.
all right. Heather and I will
It
figure
says
that
term
out.
expires. That does not have a term expire. I thought we just did it every year.
I
Yes,
thought we did it every year too. We just
that is correct.
Okay. All right. That all makes sense to me. I'm trying to think. Oh, there was one other thing I almost forgot about. So, the CBD price for 64 Main Street. They asked to. So at first we were
Back up. So
we're not ready.
Address. Where are we?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're about to introduce a topic with someplace on Main Street, but tell me what that is, where it is.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 654 Main Street, Fell's Hardware.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We gotta back up.
64.
We need to back up because we didn't address the citizens petition yet.
Yeah, we're not done.
Yeah, I gave my 10 cents about how I pro or against. I can't debate it on the floor of town meeting.
By the way, Betsy Krieger is now in the waiting room. She'll be here in just a second. There she is.
I don't remember what the citizens petition was. Can I have like a brief?
Yeah, I can bring it up. But basically, it's along North Main Street. So this is within the Center Business District. So it's from the Rotary to Stop and Shop. On the west side of the street, the left side of the street, the citizen is trying to change the by right height from 45 to 40 and the special permit height from 65 to 60. That's it. Just on the left side of the street to respect the neighborhood that goes up the hill. There is in the zoning there is step backs that are required as you go off of Main Street. We've asked Dennis to give his opinion on what he thought about that. We can go over that. I think we were going to go over that in large detail when we have sometime later before our hearing. But I didn't know if we were going to get into a full analysis now because we haven't really. That didn't get sent out, and that was not really part of the homework for people.
Brian, could you unmute Betsy, please?
Oh, there we go. Hello, Betsy.
Hi, Betsy.
Hey, Betsy.
Well, hopefully she will come back. So
let me, Brian, did you say you asked Dennis to look at this petition or?
Yes. Yeah. Dennis, we said that we could not necessarily do like a full report, but could you give us, kind of your quick opinion? He did back. I can share that. Again, I didn't know, because it's in the packets, it's kind of hard. I know the article and John is here and he could explain the article even more, but I don't know if we were really getting into that right now.
Well, I think we have a bigger issue above us is with everything going on and where do we stand on it overall? And then if we want to proceed with it as it's a critical high priority, then how do we go forward from that?
Is the concern for the liquor store lot and the hardware lot?
Well, yeah, it's pretty much done for the hardware lot in terms of what could or couldn't be there. It's really for future development.
But they have a zoning freeze, right?
It's got taken out, but they can obviously do it again. So that doesn't really matter. But it is for the future. It is for future development. I can get his response if you're interested. If we're going to kind of get into that conversation, I just wasn't sure if we were doing that tonight.
I have not really thought in detail about this. I've thought a little bit about it. I would like to see Dennis's opinion on this, since he was so crucial in coming up with the CBD zoning. And the other thing that, before I get into this, is I really would like to see how the difference in height that's proposed in this article, how that looks relative to the neighbors going up the hill. I really have no clue what a difference of 5 feet makes. So, I mean, that's all this is saying 5 feet lower.
Correct.
And so I
5
don't,
feet lower, which will chop a story off of it. Do you remember when Charles Zacharias did the sections for the building stories?
no, I wasn't around for that one. I don't think so.
Well,
But Brian, you said
Yep.
it's all the way from the Rotary, right?
no, well, so yeah, he's talking about the entirety of the North Core on the west side of the street. So it is the entirety of the west side of the street from the Rotary to Stop and Shop.
So that starts with that parking lot.
Yes, the gas station lot.
Yeah.
Which is not really in a residential neighborhood at all.
So,
I mean, I have two concerns with this. One is that some parts, I think, again, I haven't really thought about it, but I would want to make sure that it doesn't negatively affect parts that aren't near residential areas, and that it isn't simply spot zoning for one property if we could get rid of
Yeah.
so
that.
the note from Dennis
Well,
is saying,
do you,
What?
Brian, is it
Yep.
possible to bring, I know it's, if we're really jumping in, bringing in the height, I think it's the building height page from the zoning bylaw.
yep, I can. I was just going to bring up Dennis's 5-sentence email about this, but again, I mean, so right now we have one citizen here, John Stevens, but I know that if he had asked if we were definitely going to be getting into this, doing any type of an analysis, and we basically were like, not really. And I think because of that, there probably would have been a lot more people that would have showed up. And
Yeah, I think that's a good.
but that's why I was like,
Sorry,
I think it
just
makes
asked
sense.
because I wanted a reminder. It was a can of worms. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm happy to do whatever. I can go to the height map. I personally don't think we should be doing, talking about the merits of this, because we basically told John and his crew that we were not going to be, quote, getting into it this evening.
Yeah.
No,
and you-
if the whole point was to gather information if we need it for the hearing on the 19th, if it goes forward. Except now what the bigger conversation is does the board think it's a critical thing, a critical article at this point in time, given everything, and that we're being requested to remove non-essential things out of town meetings docket?
Well, I know, Heather,
So-
you had said that if this was our article, most likely you would have pulled it, and then we kind of stopped talking about it.
I would ask the planning board to pull it.
Right. So
As
I think
chair-
that's the conversation that's worthy of having at the moment, rather than the merits of the article
Yeah.
itself.
So I would look at it from the residents' point of view, namely that what happens if this doesn't go forward in the spring? What will happen to those properties between now and when it comes forward in the fall? So what would happen was, let's say they do actually put in another A&R to freeze the zoning, and then they put in a proposal. We don't have a deadline for when we have to respond to these things at the moment. So we could presumably get the A&R request and do nothing on it.
Correct.
And then it would just sit there for months until the fall. I'm not really happy with that, because it seems like we're blocking an ordinary function of government when we shouldn't. But that is one possibility.
Wait, what do you mean block? We wouldn't be able to block this.
Well, the A&R,
Oh,
if they wanted to freeze the zoning to,
oh yes,
yeah, so they could put in A&R tomorrow.
correct. Or even a day before town meeting votes.
Right.
Actually, technically.
Well, actually, I thought that the zoning was into force as soon as it goes on the warrant article.
It's when it goes in the paper, but you can still file an A&R to freeze
Okay.
the zoning anytime before the vote occurs.
Right. So if they file an A&R, then we have to act on it, or we don't have to act on it.
We don't have to act on it.
And it will not be, whatever the term is, it won't go into effect without our vote, which it normally would.
Correct.
So we could, legally sit on it for 6 months.
No, we could sit on it for 45 days after the end of the executive order.
Okay, well, let's assume the executive order isn't coming to, it's going to still be around in a couple of months, I bet.
Yep.
So, I mean, from my point of view, I don't think it's right for us to sit on it for that long, because then I think we're blockading a standard function of government.
Well, okay. Then the other idea is that this we would be talking about this on the 19th.
Well, it's Maureen. It's still not we are going to have to make a recommendation. If this is a citizen's petition, it's not our call.
Right.
No, it's not our call. Our call is actually sometimes in these situations, if we are in favor of it, we also go to bat for it at town meeting, which gets us brought into the debate of the town meeting.
Right.
What I'm saying as a chair of the planning board, I do not think in this if we go for support or not in support of this article, that we can go, that the debate is going to be in our favor.
Well, I'll say this, if it fails, it's no different from where it is right now. So as the citizens' perspective, it's worth the risk.
So there's 2 buildings that is of a concern. Really, I mean, there's 2 buildings that are of a concern. It's the liquor store and the hardware lot.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's 2 buildings and a.
Well, there's some potential down on where it's now being used illegally as parking lots.
That's what I was
down at the
saying.
corner.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But it also affects the Burgers Bagel building or whatever that is, if they wanted to put another story on that, or is that already maxed out?
No, I mean, maxed out with a special permit, 66 feet or 65 feet.
Yeah, so that could possibly affect that building as well. Although they've just spent a lot of money in that building, they may not want to pour more into it.
Also, it's condos, so I assume that those owners independently wouldn't.
Oh, good point. Good point. Thanks.
Yeah, and so, but all 3 of those property owners are on the ball and have filed ANRs previously for when the zoning went into a change.
Okay.
All right. Well, then that leaves us basically to the 12th.
This conversation, so those 3 buildings are going to get ANRs put on it. So this change, it
May not do anything, but
It may not,
maybe it would. But that's the point that we have to make tonight is we're going to be talking about this on May 19th.
So,
Correct.
okay, if we're going to talk about it on the May 19th, Brian, we need some heights of buildings that are around there. And that's going to be hard for you to get because we're going to have to ask the building department to pull the heights that they have for the buildings that are on Elmwood. This is what I need for the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
The buildings that are on Elmwood and the cross street at the end of Elmwood,
Vine?
no, not Vine. Well, the 2 commercial buildings on Vine.
Park.
And Park, and then also the buildings that are on Park and the height of the historical building that is on Main.
The brick Katana building?
And then also I'd like the height of Winchester Cooperative Bank, the Winchester Savings Bank.
Yeah.
If you could get me the heights of those buildings, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Can we also get the heights of the wedge condos?
So we really need the heights of those buildings. Pretty much all of them.
That's a lot. Okay. This leads then. Okay, so we are leading up to we're making no decisions tonight. We're going to lead up to a conversation on the 19th. Is there anything else about then the citizens petition other than I have one last quick thing after that, unless people wanted to talk about this?
Well, we've had so much discussion. Should he, Mr. Stevens, I have to look at participants. Should he be allowed to say something?
Oh, I mean, it's totally up to you. I think it makes sense. I think that wait a minute. No. Oh no, there he is. And his hand is even raised. So, I guess Heather just needs to recognize him and he can certainly speak. I know that there aren't any other people from, the group.
I'll recognize Mr. Stevens. I just want to make it clear that we're not debating and we're not coming to a decision as of right now. And there's more information that we need to get to really have a conversation with anyone regarding it. Just the current, but I'm happy to recognize him if he has something to share.
John?
Yes, thank you, folks. The information which Heather wants regarding heights of building, I think that information is certainly important. I'd also be interested in building setbacks. The citizens petition does not say anything about setbacks, but when I look around at the various properties in the neighborhood, and that includes the Savings Bank, it includes 666 Main, they all have setbacks that are significant. At least that's what I think. On the contrary, there is no setback at all at, and I don't even know what the number is, the new development on Elmwood. There is no setback at all. Even the 2 Elmwood, 35 Vine, 29 Vine, there are setbacks everywhere. And my concern is that on the west side of Maine, it's simply the height limit of 45 is simply not appropriate. 45 on the other side is fine. There's no difference between the neighborhood that is on the west side of Maine and the North Core and the folks who are in the town common. There's no reason to change that zoning when one gets to North Maine. Or I should say the North Corridor. I'm sorry, North Maine is a little different. That's pretty much what I have to say. Again, I'd be interested as Heather is in the numbers for the heights of buildings.
Thank you. Did anyone have any questions before we move on, or do you want to save those for the 19th?
I have none.
Mr. Stevens, do you understand how the 19th is going to go? Do you need Brian to walk you through how the hearing procedures work for article?
Having Brian walk me through would be fantastic. Yes.
Okay. So Brian, if you could set up a time with Mr. Stevens to walk through the process. And then if you could do me a favor and also see if engineering has any of the grades that are going on in that area. I don't know if they have a better map of that, the slope and the grades and going on there, the height changes.
Because it's all in the floodplain there, so I think we do have those.
Okay. I'd like to just get more depth of information on that, and anything obviously that you provide us, you can provide to Mr. Stevens, so he has information as well.
Okay, that sounds fine. Yeah, I mean, basically, John, it's going to be a small presentation, and there'll be questions, but I'll certainly be able to help you through the technology and all of that, and we'll be fine.
That, and also if the town manager decides to pick up any of the zoning hearings as part of her hearing as well, he would need to know that so he can attend and be present.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know what her process is.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. It's a little different.
Just keep him in the loop so he knows how to Or he can also be in touch with Mary Ellen too, the town clerk, which will help him as well.
Yeah.
Walk through.
John, we'll talk this week
Okay.
about all of this. Then,
Thank you,
is there
Brian.
anything? Yes,
Thank you.
sure.
Oh,
Is
I
there
have one more
anything?
question. It's Maureen.
Yes.
So I guess somehow I've always envisioned all that kind of redevelopment, because Dennis had done a nice kind of visioning thing that was presented on the east side of North Main Street. But then the PUD for North Main includes the west side, and that also the impact of the PUDs, as we're finding out on Converse Place, is pretty substantial. So I guess I want to have a better understanding of how the PUD also impacts the west side.
It doesn't, and there would have to be some parcel conglomeration, because for it to be a PUD, it'd have to have 25,000 square feet. So there's a few parcels on the east side that can do that. I'd be pretty tough to conglomerate those on the west, but possible.
Right. So that was it's not possible, or
I don't
no,
think
so-
it's possible.
Yeah, anything's possible if you conglomerate the lots, but in order to build in a quote PUD, you have to have at least 25,000 square feet.
And how big is a lot at Fells right now?
18,
When you combine them all, the
I think it's
historical
8.
house,
It's 8.
oh, the house isn't in the PUD.
No, the house isn't in the PUD. I'm talking about the 654 Main is 18. I think
so
it's
that cannot be
18.6.
done as a PUD.
Correct. It's like 18.6. You need 25K.
Okay. Yeah, so that it's not really doable.
So there's no. So really, the PUD on that west side shouldn't be a threat.
No.
I mean, whatever. I mean, you know how it works. It might take 15 years for someone to conglomerate all of those parcels. You know, like it's possible, but certainly, not, like you said, not threatening.
Well, they'd have to take out the historical building, which they can't do by the zoning right now.
Yeah, unless they want to sit on the property for 3 years. So, okay, we're moving toward the 19th. I think for me, there was only one other question that I kind of needed from the board. If we were ready to move on.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so Dennis and I met with. We had a call with Ian about the timing of 654 Main Street and 10 Converse Place. The board had wanted, it makes sense to just put all CBD projects on the 12th. That was what was going to happen. And they're asking if it kind of seems that that they're at different stages a little bit in terms of the, with Dennis, they're kind of at different levels. And Dennis thought that it would make more sense, and they agreed. They actually agreed on maybe splitting up these meetings and having the 10 Converse Place on the 12th, and then have 654 Main Street on the 19th, the same night as our hearing, because our hearing is only going to barely be an hour at the most, if we're going to even have a hearing. So I wanted to get people's thoughts on the timing of instead of having them both on the 12th, but have Converse on the 12th and Main Street on the 19th.
As a chair, I'm happy to do whatever the planning board would like me to do.
They're just, I think, yeah, they were like I said, Dennis actually thought, he's like, well, you might have competing interests, even though the projects are somewhat related. But he thought it'd be better and more fair to the architects to have them on different nights. But he's like, I'm not going to fight it. But he thought it made more sense. And then looking at 654 and 10 Converse in terms of where they were in progress, they're Dennis said that they're in different places. So I think they could benefit from another week.
Interests.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to follow the concept. What was the idea about they might have competing interests?
Well, like maybe someone who's really what did he say? He's like, well, someone who's really against 10 Converse Place. They would be there, and then they would potentially look at 654 in relation to 10 Converse. And that he used kind of like a frame of, he said, your frame of mind, it'd be better to have a clean slate And that's when 654 said, well, we could probably benefit from another week. The only reason we wanted to push on the 12th is because there was a time 3 weeks ago that the planning board there was a chance we were going to stop meeting. We weren't really sure what was going to happen. And that's when they were like, okay, well, since we only have one more shot at this, let's just get it done. But it's up to the board. I mean, they just, basically Dennis and 654 asked if they could go on the 19th, and we just need to make a decision.
One thought I have is that we get some of the same people. I mean, not always, but it might make more sense to have them all the people who care about some of these design issues be there on the same night instead of asking them to go to two different meetings, in which case they might just pick one.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of thought it made sense to have them on the same night. But that they, whatever, Dennis didn't think so. And they said that they could have benefit from another week. But I originally thought it made sense to have them both on the same night.
I think Heather Hannon also makes a good point. Because some of the people are coming because I just give them so much credit. They care about the whole town center. Yeah. And so I think it's their what should I say? They're concerned citizens without any axe to grind. Just they care about the town center. I think that's important to say this is a meeting, but if the date needs to be pushed back, that's another idea.
Well, the 19th is our hearing. That's in the paper, meaning we're right now, we have a hearing on the 19th, but it's possible that we might not have anything on the 19th. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we could push it back. Is there a problem with pushing it past the 19th?
For them?
Yeah.
Or for us?
For Main Street.
I mean, it wouldn't matter to us. Like I said, I think they were trying to get in because there was a chance that they might not get their last crack. They really wanted one last crack.
Well, we've given them an assurance they're getting one last crack.
Right.
I personally don't see the point of having 654 Main Street if they're not ready to give us their best shot. I agree with Heather Hannon and with Maureen, out of courtesy to the town residents, not to force them to go to two meetings and just to go to a single meeting. So if the board if we can push it off so that we get them both at a single meeting, and if they can't make it on the 12th, give them another couple weeks. I don't know when our next meeting is after the 19th.
We don't have June scheduled, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think many of us are traveling.
People are still traveling?
Not me.
I will definitely be traveling in June, but I will be able to make the meeting.
Yeah, we just have the only thing that's scheduled is June 8th town meeting.
Could we skip May 12th if we are moving those presentations?
Well, if we skip May 12th, then May 19th we still most likely will have a hearing then. But we could move it to further in May.
We could hold a meeting quickly for 5 minutes to either, I can call a meeting with 48 hours in advance notice to whether we pull the articles or not.
Sure, we could
pull the 12th off our agenda and then decide if we needed to. I just don't want to make sure that,
I just want to give them, if it's not going to be the 12th, I would like to give them dates. So because, they have to work with those dates as well. So I
was just dedicating the entire 12th to both of those projects. So really that's all we can do. And then, we have to go pick up the articles for town meeting, but we don't have any other time. When those two are together, they will consume the entire window of time pretty much, especially since the last opportunity for people to comment on those two projects. And I want to make sure we give plenty of time to the residents to speak and give their feedback. So if we split them, we can more likely get some meeting minutes approved and things, but I am fine moving it after letting go of the 12th and doing a 5-minute meeting somewhere in there to just decide whether we're going forward with our hearing or not on the 19th. But I'm up for anything.
Well, we have to have a hearing for the citizens petition, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we can schedule anything with that because we don't know how long that hearing's going to last. And I promised the residents in every meeting that they would get a lot of opportunity to speak at the next meeting we have for both properties.
Yeah.
I think it's fair because after that, all of our communication really closes down.
Agreed.
So I want to make sure we give that. So whether we dedicate one entire meeting to both of them or we split them, it's up to you guys what you would like me to do. I just want to make sure that it's very clear that these are very long meetings for both properties and that we don't have to stick to the 12th.
Help.
We could do the 18th and the 19th. I mean, I don't,
Well, I'm fine. I prefer them to both be on the same night.
Okay, so we'll stick with the same night.
So then what I'll do is I will ask them, you can either have both of them on the 12th or both of them sometime in June or maybe at the end of May. Is that, we actually, so we only have May 12th and May 19th available. We don't have another May meeting. So I would say, look, you can either both go on the 12th like we had planned, or if they're not going to both go on the 12th, then maybe we skip the 12th and we have a meeting on the 26th. So there's still only 2 meetings in May.
Works for me.
Does that work for others?
Well, then the 12th will be very short. It'll be a touch base to make sure.
Or not at all, right?
Well, yeah, it depends on if we're going forward with our hearing, our articles or not. Really, is the 12th.
All right. So I'll just say it's simple. They're either doing both projects on the 12th or they're doing both projects on the 26th.
Yep. And
Right.
then if
Is that okay? Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Okay.
if they choose the 26th, we need a quorum just on the 12th for like 10 minutes. And that's what I'll do on the agenda is 10 minutes to discuss what articles we're going forward with for town meeting or not.
Okay.
That gives the select board 2 weeks to figure out how they're doing town meeting and
Right. Okay.
how voting and the process is going to be.
Okay. I'm just going to run through my to-dos here, and then if that's
Wrap up.
okay, I think we might call it a night.
Whoa. Before you do your to-dos, I thought we were going to have a couple minutes to try to figure out what, if anything, but what are our options? What are even our reactions? How about start with that? With the potential demolition of the Victorian house where the restaurant is located.
910 Main Street.
Well, what are our options, or what are our options to support the historical commission?
That's right. Probably mostly, but if supporting the historical commission, I would say, given what we've just been doing with our master plan, and I don't know where they all are as a group with the master plan, but now that it's wrapped up, we even called out, a certain parts of North Main Street, and what our view is. Usually we are asking them, but I think in this case, how we feel about that building is as part of a kind of a redevelopment for North Main Street. So I think it could go both ways. Now, I know they're not going to be having a hearing right away, but I also, once I hear that there was some dialogue with the potential builder, I think somehow we ought to be part of that conversation too. I'm just starting to think through what's our reaction? I guess let's start with that.
So I'm going to start off by saying I'm probably going to, until I speak with town council, I'm probably going to recuse myself from this, because you may recall what happened when we rezoned North Main Street and there was an ethics complaint against me. So I will be taking notes, but I will not be participating.
And I hope you do get some opinion from council, because you haven't given up your rights as a citizen, that's certain.
Oh, no, I haven't given those up, but I have to see what role I can play on the planning board.
Right, understood.
I don't really understand what the question is, Maureen. Are you just asking?
Well, sometimes when there's a historic building, I would say more often than not, and some there's a builder out there, and the builder's, trying to figure out what he can do in the way of demolishing. And then the historical commission has their hearing, and it goes through a demolition delay, and we're pretty much out of that conversation. On this one, I think we could rightly say we have some interest in North Main Street. We've expressed that interest and formalized that interest through our master plan. And we may want to communicate with the historical commission, and we may want to work together with them and start thinking what else can be done on that site to promote the preservation of that, the Victorian house. I think there's a lot we can do.
What do you want to do, Maureen? There's a lot of things we can do. What do you want us to do?
Begin by confirming our shared interest in preserving the house.
I would like to see it preserved.
Yeah, I agree too. I am pretty confident the historical commission feels the same way. So are you saying you want us to send a letter?
I think that, usually I do believe, in fact, this is a good point, that communicating in writing is much better than phone call. So in this case, yeah, and it doesn't have to be elaborate. Just say we discussed it at this meeting, and our view this as to me, it's not just even any old historic building, and I hate to say that because I like pretty much any old historic building, but
this merits national recognition.
Yes, this we've now learned has national merit. It would qualify, or it's been recommended as national merit. National merit, that's a scholarship. National Register National Register of Historic Places. I think we also, again, the master plan that we've just adopted, and I don't have a print copy that's current. I have many versions, but I know that even on that map, that's part of that placemat thing that we just got, that area right around Canal Street at North Main Street, it's already the darkest color. It's that dark blue. So I think pointing out to the historical commission, it's how it's been highlighted already. I think there's a lot of communication that would be the starting point.
Maureen, would you like to draft a letter? Right now, my bandwidth is very minimal with everything going on.
May get input. I guess to my mind, it's an email. I don't know. It's is it coming from you? Because if it's something that's going to have your name on it, it should sound like you.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, or Brian could draft, and we could all look at it, and then.
Yeah, we can have Brian draft it, and I can sign it.
Sure.
So, and then the work directly with Brian on your feedback, and then
I will.
2 points, Brian, that we believe it's part of our. It's a key building for North Main Street. That's point number one, and point number two is to reference the master plan, and you could probably pull out something that's relevant, and then encourage that they too can be referencing the master plan.
Well, it's not
it merits that it national recognition for its architectural significance.
Yeah.
It's information to the town's history.
Okay. Well, I'll go through the bylaw, the code of bylaws for the preservation of historic buildings. I can talk about those objectives.
Yeah,
that's easy.
And John Clemson also gave us good information as well in the research he provided us. So it's just compiling. I just don't have the time to write.
No, understood, Heather. So it's really, we believe it's been recommended for a national register listing. So that's the phrasing, recommended for national register listing. A and B, that it's something about how it's been it's already highlighted in the master plan for moving forward. As I can't remember, there's a phrase for that dark blue area.
It was a preservation study zone, and then there was
it's more than that. It's the highest
well, then it should be preservation zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had a thought and I lost it.
So
The-
then the other
ahead.
question I have is, we need to, I think collectively, rather than they're just going off and as soon as the whatever lifts, the emergency lifts, and then they have a demo hearing, we need to be able to meet with both the owner at some point, if the owners want to come in, but we don't have the form filled out properly. So I know it could be, I mentioned to Brian, it's not, the form isn't complete and it's on the form. So there's no reason why the building department doesn't just say, hey, we need the contact info for the owner.
Jack told me, I did speak to Jack. Jack told me it was an incomplete application. That the Historical Commission is viewing it as an incomplete application, which is him and I believe him and Bruce are the ones who have the right to make that determination. And so
That's good to know.
they kicked it back to the building commissioner / zoning enforcement officer is my understanding. I'll double check with him.
Thank
But
you.
my understanding is they viewed it as incomplete and kicked it back as well. The other side I was going to say too, that might be important to include in that letter is actually our zoning for that area and for the requirements for site plan or special permit and what is required. That they do have to take into consideration historical impact.
Okay, I got all of that.
Because the developer, I think, is from Newton, right?
Right.
That
That one
Yeah,
I got.
they
planning board
know.
comes out, and to them they may think it does not look like it's important, but it actually
No,
has
I mean
tremendous-
what I was picking up from them was that they're just waiting the year. That's I was trying, and that's what I was picking up from them.
Yeah, well,
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try.
it doesn't mean they're not going to get tremendous.
Mhm.
That whole neighborhood is already connected. because
Yeah,
of
they know
zoning
how to
previously.
mobilize for sure.
Also, Brian, I was wondering how, in addition, what Marino, it's kind of different pieces, but I don't know what Marino would understand. But if he has to go forward, if he demolishes, of course, that would be for Mr. Chen. That would not be Marino, really.
Mhm.
Marino might be doing the job, but
Right.
Mr. Chen's the owner.
Mhm.
And then there's this closing, and Marino is coming in. At that point, isn't it at that point that he starts? Because he's not the property owner. Can he be going down a permitting process without owning the property?
As
If
long
the
as you have consent, from the owner.
So
Well,
let's say he's going down that route.
Uh-huh.
Certainly before it's demolished, there would be this there's this, even under site plan review, there's a criteria about impact on the historic resource. So that doesn't look like something he'd be going forward with very successfully.
No, what he might be doing
Well,
is maybe the current owner may be filing it, waiting it out a year, demolishing it, then selling the empty lot to him.
yeah, no, I think that there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to do that, because in the CBD we have this provision that you're talking about that basically, if you tear down a historically significant building, that you could potentially not get a special permit for 3 years. But there's nothing about that in the regular zoning in the GBD 2-3.
No, so that's good, and I'm glad you've yes, I understand. But if Marino were to want to get started before he owns the property on getting his permit through,
No, he just needs consent from the owner.
right? But if he does, he getting that permit while there's still an impact on a historic resource would not look too good.
Agreed. But I mean, I'm obviously not going to tell him what to do, but I think he knows I think he knows the mechanics of the law, judging from my conversation with him.
How big is that lot? Do we know?
No, I don't know off the top, but we can get there. But
I can look it up too.
It's just so
hold on.
upsetting that people think that it's a good idea to knock stuff like that down.
agreed. But money
I mean, what are
goes a
you
long
actually
way.
going to get out of there too? That's what I don't understand. So
I
what do you get
don't.
by?
Yeah,
That's going to make it equitable.
All right, so 910 Main Street.
It's 10,602 square feet as of the Macris form.
Okay.
10,603.
So then it definitely comes forward for site plan review.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
so the point is, if Marino were trying to get his permit before the demolition and before his ownership of the property, he'd probably not get that permit.
I would agree with that. I don't know why he would do that though. But yeah, I would agree. He probably wouldn't, and we would make a strong case of that too.
And so let's assume he gets the property out from under, buys it from Mr. Chen. At that point, he goes to site plan review, and then how many feet from the property would somebody have to live to have standing to appeal?
Abutters to abutters within 300 feet of the property line.
Abutters to abutters.
Correct.
So he also, that's something else. I don't know how much, honestly, sometimes these guys don't know what, I've seen this happen before too. They don't quite play out everything. We know, for example, the property across from the grocery store hasn't gone forward, and that's under appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the site, yeah. And so they wait a year, get the demolished, then they go for a site plan, it gets appealed. So it's looking at you could get out to 4 years on that.
So I just think Marino should understand this isn't like the other project.
All right. Well, I will get something together and send that to Maureen. And
Oh no, to the board, they're going to give back comments.
Oh, and then we'll
Everyone.
talk. Well, then we'll have to. We'll have to talk about it at our next meeting.
I guess
Yeah, the board, the historical commission is not taking it up, so it's on a complete hold. It can't be. You put on a 1-year delay until it's lifted, and they are not meeting. They have 45 days after the lockdown is lifted.
Right.
And so we just heard too from the governor that he's extending it out. So I think we're okay to pick it up on the 12th to approve a letter to go out.
Right. I think that's good. Thank you. I think that would be great. And I do think that somehow we want to coordinate. That's a different conversation. Like if you spoke to Jack, I'm glad to hear that. I think the concept is that on this one, we really are going to want to coordinate. We may have some various options for North Main Street, and that lot is actually quite large. And there may be some development opportunities or possibilities to work with that house. And I don't think Marino is the one to do it, but I do think if we can make sure that all communication includes Mr. Chen, that there may be other, that this may get him thinking about other possibilities.
Sounds good. So what I have from that is, one, it's a key building for North Main Street, to reference the master plan as it relates to historic preservation and its merits, and that has been recommended for National Register listing. Highlight in the master plan as a preservation zone. I need to look at the specific map for this. Also the zoning for that area and what's required to develop there, site plan review, etc. So that's everything related to that item. And then
Could I interrupt for one quick second?
please.
There might be somebody, there might be a resident who might be interested in saying something.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I've been looking at my screen here.
President of that neighborhood.
Hold on.
I don't know if they want to speak or not, but
Oh, yeah. Well, there he is.
Hi, Hank.
Hi everyone. So I think I agree what everyone said. It's a historical building. I think it's built in 1860 something. So I think really is a landmark on Main Street. So strongly suggest to preserve the building.
Thank you, Hank.
Diab, did you have anything else?
no, I can't say anything.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. How can Diab get some kind of an answer? Because I don't want him to be excluded.
Oh, I'm going to reach out to Art.
Or Mary Ellen.
Reach out to both of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When I talk to Mary Ellen next about the zoning bylaw, I can talk to her about that as well.
Okay.
And then the other to-dos I had here was putting a full clean PDF of the zoning bylaw online, as well as to all boards and committees. We got to have that conversation about the capital committee. And then homework here is heights of buildings on Elmwood Park, the brick Katana building on Main Street, Winchester Savings Bank, the Wedge condos, and any setbacks and grades that I could potentially get from engineering. Those were all the to-dos that I had.
You got the grades in that? The
Yep.
grading?
Yep. Any setbacks and grades from engineering.
Building heights. All right.
Oh, and Brian, could you just start, I guess, I don't know if it needs a form, but just a running, just some way that, it just should take you 1 minute just to type in what the so you met with so-and-so, or met remotely, obviously, but just conversation with so-and-so.
That's fine. And my calendar is really, really accurate. So that's pretty easy to do. And so that's perfectly fine.
I have one more to do for you, Brian.
Yes,
You're supposed to send the decision from last meeting to Heather.
I did that.
I have it.
No, it's for Heather to review it.
Me to finalize it.
Oh, okay.
All that was just a conglomeration of everything.
Yep.
So it's on my shoulders to complete it and sign it.
So Heather, do you want your list of things to do?
Yes, I'll take my list. I'm ready.
Okay, so you're going to discuss with Jack about the recording secretary
Yes.
position. What else are you going to do? You got to make sure Brian fixes the March 24th minutes and spells your name right.
I didn't put that in the to-dos, but it's there.
Yeah.
Or I didn't say it, rather.
I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing that's going to come up is who's bringing the ice cream to the next meeting.
Yeah. We all have birthdays coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Well, Betsy's there.
Betsy, are you able to say hi?
Are you there, Betsy?
Are you on mute?
No, she's not. I don't know. Maybe I'll have another call with her tomorrow.
Betsy? Okay.
So I'm not going to list Betsy as being present.
Well, she hasn't been able to participate.
Okay, so
Yeah. Unfortunately, but I'll circle back, Betsy, if you can hear
Okay.
me. I'll circle back with you tomorrow.
All right. Did anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That was
Heather
everybody.
Hannon?
Oh, I said aye.
Okay, I missed you. Okay, 4-0 and 1 abstaining or absent. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
All
night.
right.
Thank
Good
you,
meeting. Good
everyone,
meeting,
who
everybody.
Check out. And thank you for joining us.
Thank
I see
you.
people here, and Mr. Stevens and WinCam, as always. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you, Winchester.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye.
Wonderful. Have a good night, everybody.